Hey there, gamers! So to finish off the whole Data East stuff, I did the collection. Definitely, if you're a fan of retro games, check it out. 20 bucks. Took a look at Fighters History Dynamite. So now let's just go really quickly. This is courtesy of YouTube. I know, kind of, ironic using YouTube to make a YouTube video, but this is pretty much. I'm just going to show off a bunch of games that I would really love to see in a Data East Arcade Classics 2. So we're going to start off with a pretty high adventure one. The Cliffhanger Edward Randy. So I'm just going to show up a little video and just say why I'm interested in it. I mean, just look at this one. Lots of action, lots of stuff going on. Definitely looks to be a really cool game.
Okay, here they come.
I've generally heard pretty much pretty good stuff about this game. It's a really fun game, really action-packed. It's 2-player. That's always a plus. So we'll skip. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Most of these videos are gonna be courtesy of Gmode's YouTube account, though. Of course. What else? Karate Champ. It's kind of a weird, that this wasn't in the original. This wasn't in the first the collection we have now. Of course, the version I would probably prefer is the player versus player version, not the single-player version. Of course, as I said in my Fighters History Dynamite, Capcom tried saying that the original Street Fighter was the original fighting game. Though you could argue Karate Champ is the original. And there's that Ox. The Ox actually I didn't bring up, but the Ox in Karate Champ you saw out there, the Ox is actually a special character you fight in Fighters History Dynamite if you get through every enemy without losing a round on normal mode or higher. Bit of a simple one, pretty much just done traditional karate style, but it's a classic. So we'll stop that. Get to the next one. This is Act-Fancer Cybernetic Hyper Weapon. This one just looks pretty cool. So I'll just go a little further. Let's skip the opening right now. And this one just looks like a really cool, maybe a little challenging, but a really cool side-scrolling like platformer with a little mixture of shooting. And of course, I like mechs. I mean, come on, this is like Data East mech title. Definitely looks really fun. So let's get to the next one. This is Gmode's calling it Data East Hoops version 96. It's also known as just Dunk Dream 96. This is the sequel to Street Hoops. The main difference is Street Hoops was only two players. This one goes up to 4 players. And aside from the Super Dunk ability, you also apparently have Super Defense and Super 3-Shot. So they add a little bit more. And this, as you see, is also 3 buttons. The original Dunk Dream, Street Hoops was only 2-button game. This is a 3-button game, so it probably adds a little bit more, advanced gameplay mechanics to it. No audio on this one, but as I said, Street Hoops is pretty fun, especially if you're a fan of NBA Jam. So I definitely would love to see this in a second collection. I mean, it's 4-player. You can do 4-player on the Wii easily, and just looks like it probably makes the game even better. Yes, you even got normal shots. So pause that. Next one. This is actually one of the, Tattoo Assassins. This is one of the unreleased games from Data East. This was actually developed, not in Japan, this is developed by Data East Pinball. The pinball division of Data East in North America actually developed this one. And they actually got a writer from the Back to the Future movies to do the story for this one. It's pretty much a Mortal Kombat clone. It was never released though apparently about 3 or 4 of the actual cabinets were made. I think 2 of them belong to collectors. The other 2, I think the other 2 belong to a pinball museum, like a pinball company's, office or something. It's probably not much of a game, but it's an unreleased game. Aside from emulators on PC, there's no way to play this game legally, and Gmode does have the rights to it, and it just looks silly as hell. So, but unfortunately, if they were to add this one, this game alone would probably raise the ESRB rating up to mature. And I'm not sure how much, if Majesco was to do a second, I'm not sure how much they'd be willing to get a mature rating. So, let's get away from the silliness and get to the next one. This one's another unreleased title. This one is Data East Ghostlop. It's a puzzle game. Kind of like a weird, bust-a-move with some slight variations. It was unreleased. But generally from what I hear, for people that played via emulation, it's actually a really fun game. And apparently Gmode has been interested in getting Ghostlop officially out. As you see, there's no years on it, so because it was never officially released. And here's pretty much the way to play. So you pretty much use the joystick to move, aim. You hold down to move left and right, and along with the direction. And this is the thing, you have to switch between if you're shooting red balls or blue balls to get rid of certain ghosts. And you can switch the color in midair. See? So now it switches back and it bounces over. And it just looks like a really cool, puzzle game. Don't know. It was apparently a prototype was made, but it was never released. I don't know why though. It looks fully complete. So that'd be cool to have. Along with Caveman Ninja, you gotta have Joe and Mac. So this is Joe and Mac Returns. This one's a little different though than Caveman Ninja. I'm gonna go a little up ahead. So here's your little game technique. So there we got that. This one though is based all on one single screen. It's like, I guess you have to eliminate all the enemies on the screen while taking on the boss, I guess, or something like that. It definitely looks like a pretty interesting variation on the old, there's the website for Gmode has for Data East Games, dataeastgames.com. Check it out, it's really cool. But it looks like a nice little variation on Joe and Mac. So, I already reviewed this game, but as I said, I would love to see this on the collection. Skip the original Fighter's History, let's go to Fighter's History Dynamite. Now this is the English text, so it's using the Karnov's revenge name. But really, considering that Data East Arcade Classics is pretty much using the Japanese name for every single game on the collection, with the exception of Street Hoop. That one's using the European name for some reason. But aside from that, they're all using the Japanese name, so I would see there's no problem. And I believe, as I said, the arcade version, when it was released in America, did keep the Fighter's History Dynamite title. It was just translated into English. So I've already shown it off. Fighter's History Dynamite. Like I said, though, this is a pretty fun fighting game. I would love to see this be in a Data East Arcade Classics too. So here you go. There's the Karnov's Revenge title. But as I said, I would not want to see the Karnov's Revenge title. I want Fighter's History Dynamite. I'm just picky like that. So there's your little footage. So we'll pause right there. Get to the next one. First collection had BurgerTime. This is Super BurgerTime. It's a sequel that actually goes up to 2 simultaneous players instead of alternating players. You'll play as made in 1990, plays Peter Pepper's sons, Peter Pepper Jr. and I believe Pete Pepper. I know, right? But it definitely just gives you much better video quality. So that's a little loud. But as you can see, it's BurgerTime with better graphics and 2 players at once. Really big burgers. But anyway, it'd be cool to have Super BurgerTime on this collection, on the second collection. Up next, another Neo Geo title. This one is Spin Master, also known as, I believe, Wonderful Adventure in Japan. This is pretty much a side-scrolling, platformer adventure, where your characters use yo-yos, but they also, pick up power-ups and give them all kinds of different weapons. It's a very simple game, but pretty difficult. I guess pretty tough though. I played a little bit of it. It's definitely a fun game. I would definitely love to see this on a Data East Arcade Classics too. Again, 2-player. Okay, up next is Trio the Punch, Never Forget Me. Now, this one is generally considered to be a really bad game. In Japan, it's actually kind of called a kusoge. Kusoge, which pretty much means a crap game. Really bad game. But apparently, Data East made this a bad game on purpose. And it just makes absolutely no sense. Like, look at the beginning right here. Okay, hey, what the... A giant foot. Let me get to another spot in the game. You're fighting a giant fist with pipes running up and down. It was only released in Japan, but come on. I mean, even if it's a bad game, this just be worth seeing just for the what the hell? Okay, next game. Boogie Wings, aka the Great Ragtime Show. This one's a pretty interesting little shooter developed by Data East. Now, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit on this video because they're just talking about how to play. So, the cool thing is you have this hook that allows you to grab pretty much anything in the stage and toss it back. Another thing, though, is if you take enough damage, your vehicle gets destroyed and you can run around on foot. What other shooter lets you do that? And then you can jump into another vehicle. And of course it has that whole ragtime kind of music style to it. So you can pretty much pick up anything and just toss them around. It definitely looks really cool. I would definitely like to play Boogie Wings or the Great Ragtime Show, it's also called. Next game. As I said, you have Joe and Mac Returns. But how about if you want, a traditional style Joe and Mac game? Well, you got Joe and Mac Lost in the Tropics. sometimes called Geomac 3, sometimes called Geomac 2, depends on which one you consider 2. Some people consider Geomac Returns to be 2, some people consider Geomac Congo Capers to be a second one. So as you see, this one's more of a traditional style game. So if you like Geomac, you probably like Geomac 3, Geomac Lost in the Tropics. And I'm going to finish this one up with an FMV game. It's probably the one that's most well known from Data East. It's Road Blaster, aka Road Avenger when we got it on the Sega CD. It's an FMV game, kind of like Dragon's Air, so you have to, act at the right time, so there you push right, then you push left. But this would be really cool. It probably would take up a lot of space on the disc, but it just to have this one game, not even Cobra Command, just Road Blaster would be really cool. So that's pretty much what I'd like. It's not the full-on lineup for I would like to see, but these are the games I would love to see in a second collection. If you'd like to say what you like to see, go ahead and say so in the comments. And that pretty much wraps up my Data East kind of focus right now. So have fun, gamers.